I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Achieving that body that looks like the statue of the Greek gods is something I've always wanted.
Turns out that goal is quite simple to achieve.
Simple, but not easy. Simply put, you just need a body that has a solid amount of muscles and be lean enough to show it. And in this video, I want to share the most basic principles that you can follow to have this aesthetic physique too. So let's get on to it. Number 1, movement. To build muscles, you basically need resistance training. You need to do some challenging stuff or lift some heavy shit. Depending on your preference, you can either do weightlifting, calisthenics, or both. Adding some form of martial arts to your training regimen is also ideal. Now, the way you move, in my opinion, is one of the most crucial things to keep in mind. Basically, when you train, be intentional. You only have so much time and energy, so try to make the most out of it. Pay attention to your form. Are you doing the exercise correctly, properly? Or are you lifting weights that is way out of your level just to look cool? Control the eccentrics, because during this phase is where the muscle fibers experience the most stress. When controlled, it can lead to greater muscle fiber recruitment and activation. The second most important thing when moving is progressive overload. Are you consistently increasing the amount of resistance? Lifting heavier weights, doing more repetitions, or even trying harder variations? You have to be honest with yourself. Push past your limits while maintaining proper form and control. Personally, I find calisthenics the perfect discipline to achieve progressive overload while maintaining proper form. Calisthenics simply demand strict form, otherwise the movement will not look cool, and that kind of defeats the purpose. You want to do calisthenics to look cool. Naturally, over time, you would want to move on to harder variations of the exercise. For example, push-ups, then to handstands, and then there's pull-ups and its different variations. And don't get me started on the weighted variations of it. Since we are putting stress into our body, we need a proper training split. There are so many training splits that you can choose on the internet. Choose the one that best suits your life and commit to it. It's really important to understand that there is no such thing as the perfect routine or perfect split. What's perfect is what works for you. If someone says otherwise, I really think they are just trying to sell some shit to you. Use a routine that targets the key areas of the body that contributes to that V-taper, or basically that aesthetic look. If you are just starting now, the most important thing to do is to be able to start now. Don't get lost in the rabbit hole of fitness. Find a routine that will actually fit your circumstance and something you'll be able to commit to, and something you look forward to and enjoy doing, rather than seeing it as a chore. Hey, if you're curious about how I approach my training, I've got an ebook that you can download. It's packed with everything I've learned from the past 6 years, from how I structure my workouts, the exercise I use, why I choose them, and the mindset I maintain to achieve my desired physique. Plus, I even threw in a sample training split that closely resembles my own routine. You can grab this ebook absolutely for free, although I would appreciate it if you would subscribe if you haven't yet, or like this video in return. But if you don't, I don't care either. So if you are interested, click the link in the description below, and hopefully it helps in your journey. As I've said, you gotta train the key areas of the body that constitute to that aesthetic physique, or that V-taper. So, a wide shoulder with lean torso. And to achieve this, you gotta focus on training the back, the shoulders, the chest, and having a lean core.
To develop a wide back, pull-ups and their variations are my personal favorite. Weighted pull-ups not only make you feel like Batman, but they are especially effective. Pull-ups is actually all I do, and this is how my back looks like. You can either choose to train in rings or bar. In bar, choose whatever grip you find most comfortable in. Don't overcomplicate it, really. Just get stronger first. Try to have a 40 kgs weighted pull-ups in one grip, and then feel free to dive into the details. If you're currently unable to perform a pull-up, I highly recommend working towards it, as a long-term objective. It will take a lot of time, but don't get discouraged. It's really worth it. For the meantime, there are other scientifically proven exercises that you can do. Feel free to check out these guys. They are pretty good. For the shoulders, to develop a well-rounded one, I find strict military press to be effective. This exercise primarily targets the front delts while also engaging the middle and the rear delts to a lesser extent. Keep in mind that the rear delts also get worked during weighted pull-ups, so even if you don't specifically train them, you would still get satisfactory results. And for the chest, for that aesthetic physique, I recommend focusing on the upper chest. Mine are still lacking, but I have been focusing on them more lately. Bench press is a staple exercise for chest development. However, push-ups is a great way to start. If you can perform variations of push-ups, that's even better. Personally, I enjoy doing ring dips, weighted dips, and straight bar dips. Although these exercises does not focus on hitting the upper chest, I just find them enjoyable to do. And for the core, this might be controversial, but abs training is practically a waste of time if your only goal is to look good. You really just need to cut fat so that you can start seeing them. But if you are an athlete, then training core will be important. Personally, I hate abs training, but my involvement in jiu-jitsu requires a considerable amount of core strength due to the movements involved. So they kinda get worked out every time I am rolling. And legs, just don't skip leg day, bro. Training legs helps with human growth hormones and testosterone, so do some squats, front or back, man.
Now, all of this training will be for nothing if you have a crap diet. Your diet will really depend on whatever stage you are on now. If you have fat, then eat less. If you are skinny, then eat more. But in general, just don't eat trash food, man. Eat real food, nutritious food, whole meal food. Get as much protein as you can, drink plenty of water, and cut down on that crap sugar. Just like your training split, finding the perfect diet is the one that suits your life the most. Lastly, keep in mind that all of this will take time. It took me 5 years to get the body that I wanted. Simply follow the principles I mentioned before, added some personal tweaks on it, and most importantly, staying consistent.